Admiral Laura Bennett stood at the main window of the Earth Defense Command Center, her gray eyes fixed on the holographic display showing humanity's colony worlds. One by one, the green dots representing human settlements were turning red, then black. Each change of color meant thousands of lives lost, millions in danger. "Admiral, we've lost contact with New Eden," reported Officer Sam Miller, his voice shaking. "That's the third colony this week." Laura's hands tightened behind her back. 6 months ago, she had been worried about trade routes and piracy. Now, humanity faced something far worse. The Xeraxian Empire had appeared without warning, their massive ships darkening the skies of human worlds. "Get me Council Representative Martinez," she ordered, walking to her command chair, "and bring up all surveillance footage from New Eden before we lost contact." The large screen in front of her flickered to life, showing Peter Martinez's tired face. Like her, he hadn't slept much since the attacks began. "Admiral Bennett, I was about to call you," Martinez said, running a hand through his graying hair. "The Chinese and Russian delegations are finally ready to talk. They've seen enough to know we can't fight this alone." "About time," Laura replied. "We've just lost New Eden. That's 3 million more people under Xeraxian control, if they're still alive." Martinez's face darkened. "The European Union is voting tomorrow on the Unified Defense Proposal. If it passes, we'll have a combined fleet under your command. But Laura," he leaned closer to the screen, "we need something more than ships. The Xeraxians are too far ahead of us." As if to answer his concerns, another call came through. Dr. Alice Wright's excited face appeared on a second screen. The scientist was stationed at the Mars Research Facility, where her team studied recovered Xeraxian technology. "Admiral, Representative, you need to see this," Dr. Wright said, her eyes bright with discovery. "We've been analyzing the debris from that Xeraxian scout ship we shot down over Saturn. Their technology isn't just advanced, it's impossible. Their metals shouldn't exist according to our physics." Laura and Martinez exchanged looks. "Explain it simply, Doctor," Laura said. "Their hull metal changes properties when hit by our weapons. It's like, imagine a bulletproof vest that turns into water when hit, absorbing the impact, then becomes solid again. But that's not the exciting part." Alice held up a small glowing crystal. "This is their basic power source. One crystal this size could power all of North America for a year." Martinez leaned forward. "Can we replicate it?" "Better," Alice smiled. "We can improve it. The Xeraxians built these with a flaw. They didn't understand the quantum principles behind their own technology. We think they copied it from someone else." A loud alarm interrupted their conversation. Officer Miller's voice came through the speakers, urgent and clear. "Admiral, multiple Xeraxian vessels just jumped in near Luna Base. They're not following their usual attack pattern." Laura was already moving. "Doctor, send everything you have to the secure server. Martinez, get that vote done. We're out of time." She turned to the tactical display, where 5 massive Xeraxian ships were approaching Earth's moon. The next 12 hours tested every skill Laura had learned in her 20 years of service. The Xeraxians had never come this close to Earth before. They fought differently here, with a precision they hadn't shown at the colonies. Their ships moved in complex patterns, targeting Earth's defensive satellites first. "They'd been studying us," Laura realized, watching the battle unfold. The attacks on the colonies were practice. This is their real strategy. But the Xeraxians hadn't counted on human determination. When their ships destroyed the lunar defense grid, the hidden platforms inside lunar craters activated. Earth's last resort weapons, kept secret even from most humans, fired upward. Beams of concentrated solar energy, gathered and stored for years, struck the Xeraxian ships from below. 2 enemy ships exploded immediately. A third spun out of control, its hull glowing red. The remaining 2 retreated, jumping away into hyperspace. "Status report," Laura called out. "Luna Base is damaged but holding," Miller replied. 40% of our defense satellites are gone. But Admiral, he paused, we've never destroyed their ships so easily before. The lunar cannons shouldn't have been that effective. Laura remembered Dr. Wright's words about the Xeraxians' flawed technology. Get Dr. Wright back online and send drones to collect every piece of debris from those destroyed ships. The next day, the Human Council finally united. With proof that the Xeraxians could be beaten, even China and Russia agreed to combine their space forces. Representative Martinez stood before the Global Assembly, his words broadcast to every human settlement still free. Today, we are no longer nations divided by borders, he declared. We are humanity, united against extinction. Our new human defense fleet will protect all our worlds. Every scientist, every engineer, every soldier will work together. The Xeraxians thought we would be easy prey. They were wrong. In her command center, Laura watched the speech while studying reports from Mars. Dr. Wright's team had found more flaws in the Xeraxian technology. Each discovery showed that humanity's greatest strength wasn't their weapons or ships. It was their ability to understand, adapt, and improve. They copied their technology without understanding it. Laura said to herself, that's why they stick to the same tactics, the same attack patterns. They don't know how to innovate. She looked at the star map, where dozens of human colonies still glowed green. Others were red or black, waiting for liberation. The next few months would decide everything. But for the first time since the Xeraxians appeared, Laura felt real hope. Humanity had something the Xeraxians didn't: the ability to learn, to change, to become better. The enemy had superior weapons, but humans had just proven they could destroy those weapons. Now, with Earth's nations finally united and Dr. Wright's discoveries, they had a fighting chance. Laura opened a channel to the fleet. All ships, this is Admiral Bennett. Earth has united. The human defense fleet is now active. Our mission is clear. We protect our worlds. We take back what's ours. And we show the galaxy why you should never underestimate humans. As her words reached every human ship and station, Laura looked at the pieces of destroyed Xeraxian vessels floating near the moon. Their first real victory had given them more than hope. It had given them the enemy's technology, ready to be studied, understood, and improved by human minds. The real war was just beginning, and humanity was ready to show its true power. 6 months into the war, Commander Daniel Carter watched from his bridge as another human colony burned. His small fleet of 5 ships hid in an asteroid belt, waiting for the right moment to strike. They couldn't save the colony on New Mars, but they could hurt the Xeraxians when they left. Enemy ships starting to move, sir, his tactical officer reported. They're following their usual pattern. 2 heavy cruisers in front, supply ships in the middle. Daniel smiled grimly. The Xeraxians always followed the same tactics, never changing their approach. It was their weakness, one that his fleet had learned to exploit. Wait until they pass the 3rd asteroid cluster, he ordered. Then hit their supply ships with everything we have. On the colony world of Nova Terra, Resistance leader Michelle Reeves crouched in a destroyed building, watching Xeraxian patrols through special goggles. Her team had spent weeks studying the alien shields, looking for any weakness. Look at their shield generators, she whispered to her tech expert. Every time they fire their weapons, the shield flickers in the same spot, like they can't power both systems at full strength. Back on Earth, military strategist Catherine Morris presented her findings to the Human Council. Representative Martinez and the other leaders listened carefully as she explained what they had learned about Xeraxian tactics. They're predictable, Catherine said, pointing to battle recordings. Every attack follows the same steps. They never adapt, never change their strategy. It's like they're following a rulebook they can't change. In space, Daniel's fleet struck. His ships burst from hiding just as the Xeraxian supply vessels passed the asteroid field. Their weapons targeted the exact spots where enemy shields were weakest. Direct hits, his tactical officer shouted. 3 supply ships destroyed. The cruisers are turning to engage. Don't let them lock on, Daniel ordered. Hit and run, just like we planned. His ships scattered in different directions, forcing the Zyraxian cruisers to split up. The aliens followed their standard pursuit protocol, exactly as Daniel expected. They never learned that humans wouldn't always fight the way they predicted. Second attack run, he commanded. Target their engine sectors. The human ships swooped back, attacking from multiple angles. Zyraxian shields failed under the precise strikes. 2 more supply ships exploded, and 1 cruiser spun out of control, its engines dead. On Novaterra, Michelle's team made their move. They had timed their attack perfectly, just as the Zyraxian patrol engaged another group of rebels, drawing power to their weapons. Fire the EMP, Michelle ordered. The modified human weapon struck just as the alien shields flickered. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the Zyraxian soldiers froze as their power armor failed. It worked, her tech expert exclaimed. Their shield technology can't handle power surges. They put everything into attack strength and forgot about defense. Michelle quickly sent the data to Earth. Within hours, Catherine Morris was studying the new information with growing excitement. Representative Martinez, she called. We need to talk to Dr. Wright on Mars. I think we found something important about their technology. The Human Council gathered to hear the combined reports from Daniel's fleet, Michelle's resistance, and Catherine's analysis. A pattern was emerging, one that showed a critical weakness in the seemingly unstoppable Zyraxian war machine. They don't innovate, Catherine explained. Every piece of their technology is powerful but inflexible. They can't adapt to new situations or fix basic design flaws. Martinez looked at the battle data. Can we use this? Turn their strength into a weakness. We already are, Catherine replied. Commander Carter's fleet has destroyed more enemy ships in the last month than we lost in the first 3 months of war. He keeps changing tactics, and they don't know how to respond. Dr. Wright's face appeared on the main screen, joining the discussion from her Mars lab. The captured technology we're studying shows the same pattern. Their weapons are incredibly advanced, but the designs aren't optimized. It's like they built everything following instructions they don't fully understand. The council chamber filled with excited whispers. For the first time, they had found a real advantage, not in technology or numbers, but in human creativity and adaptability. Implement Operation Thunderstrike, Martins ordered. Give Dr. Wright everything she needs to improve their captured weapons, and get our best engineers working with Commander Carter's fleet. It's time to show the Zyraxians what happens when humans start innovating. Throughout human space, the resistance grew stronger. Michelle's discovery about shield weaknesses spread to other colonies. Daniel's fleet expanded as more ships joined his guerrilla campaign. Every human victory provided more captured technology for Dr. Wright to study and improve. The Zyraxians responded the only way they knew, with overwhelming force. They sent larger fleets, used bigger weapons, but they never changed their basic tactics, never fixed the flaws in their technology. They're fighting the war they know, Catherine told the council, but we're fighting the war they don't expect. Every time they destroy one of our positions, we learn from it. Every time they kill our people, the survivors get stronger. In his fleet, Daniel prepared for another raid. His ships now carried improved weapons based on Dr. Wright's research. The Zyraxians still had better technology, but humans were learning to use it more effectively. All ships, prepare for attack, he ordered. Remember, they expect us to fight like them. That's why we'll win, because we'll never do what they expect. The war had entered a new phase. Humanity was no longer just surviving. They were learning, adapting, and growing stronger. The storm was rising, but not the one the Zyraxians expected. It was a storm of human innovation, of creativity unleashed against an enemy that didn't understand how to change. And in that difference lay the seeds of victory. Dr. Alice Wright hadn't left her lab in the Mars research facility for 3 days. Empty coffee cups littered her desk, but she barely noticed them. On the testing platform in front of her, A captured Zyraxian weapon pulsed with strange light. "John, are you seeing these readings?" She called to her research partner, John Phillips, who sat at the main computer. The tall scientist adjusted his glasses and leaned forward, studying the data streams. "It's working, Alice," he said, his voice filled with excitement. "The quantum field is stable. We didn't just copy their technology. We fixed it." A year of studying Zyraxian technology had led to this moment. What started as reverse engineering had become something more. The humans hadn't just understood the alien weapons. They had found the flaws in their design and made them better. "Send the data to Admiral Bennett," Alice said, her hands shaking as she picked up another coffee cup. "And get Commander Carter on the line. His fleet will test our improvements first." In deep space, Commander Daniel Carter received the transmission while hiding his ships behind an asteroid field. His fleet had been fighting a guerrilla war against Zyraxian supply lines for months. They would strike quickly, destroy what they could, and vanish before the enemy's main forces arrived. "Commander," his tactical officer said, "Dr. Wright's team says they can upgrade our weapons in less than 6 hours. They want us to hit the Zyraxian base at Proxima Centauri." Daniel smiled. Proxima Centauri had been one of the first human colonies to fall. Now it served as a major Zyraxian supply base. They had tried to take it back 3 times, but the enemy's shields were too strong. "Tell all ships to prepare for weapon upgrades," he ordered, "and get me a direct line to Dr. Wright. I want to understand exactly what these improvements will do." The next few hours were busy as engineering teams installed the new technology. Dr. Wright explained how they had fixed the quantum field problems in the Zyraxian designs. The alien weapons used quantum tunneling to bypass shields, but they wasted most of their energy. The human version was much more efficient. "Ready for attack run," Daniel's tactical officer reported. All ships showing green status. Daniel looked at the tactical display. 6 human ships against a fortified Zyraxian base defended by 12 enemy vessels. A year ago, such an attack would have been suicide. But now they had something the Zyraxians didn't expect: their own technology, made better by human understanding. "All ships, attack pattern Delta," he ordered. "Target their command center first." The human fleet emerged from the asteroid field at full speed. Zyraxian sensors detected them immediately, and enemy ships moved to intercept. Their shield barriers glowed bright purple, technology that had stopped human attacks many times before. "Fire main weapons," Daniel commanded. The improved quantum weapons fired. Where before they would have splashed harmlessly against Zyraxian shields, now they passed through as if the barriers didn't exist. The first volley struck the enemy command center, and the massive structure exploded in a burst of blue fire. "Their shields," Daniel's tactical officer shouted. "Our weapons aren't just going through them. They're disrupting the shield generators themselves." The Zyraxian ships tried to regroup, but their formation was broken. Without the command center coordinating their shields, each ship had to defend itself alone. They had never trained for this. They relied too much on their technology working perfectly. "Second volley, all ships fire at will," Daniel ordered. His fleet spread out, using the attack patterns they had practiced for months. The Zyraxians tried to respond, but human ships were more maneuverable, their crews more experienced at fighting without perfect shields. 2 hours later, the battle was over. The Proxima Centauri base was in human hands again, and 9 Zyraxian ships were destroyed. The others had retreated, jumping away to warn their fleet. "Send word to Admiral Bennett," Daniel told his communications officer. "Proxima Centauri is ours. The new weapons work better than we hoped." But the victory came with a price. As Daniel's fleet secured the base, they found something terrible in the Zyraxian computers. The enemy had been building something in secret, a weapon that could destroy entire planets. "They're calling it the Star Killer," Daniel reported to Admiral Bennett. "According to these files, they're almost ready to use it. They'll target our colonies first, trying to force us to surrender." On Earth, Admiral Laura Bennett received the news with both joy and worry. The victory at Proxima Centauri proved that humans could beat the Xeraxians in direct combat. But this new planet-killer weapon changed everything. "We need to move faster," she told the Human Council. "Carter's victory shows we can fight them effectively now. But if they start destroying colonies, we'll lose everything we've gained." Representative Martinez stood up in the council chamber. "Then we activate Protocol Omega," he said. The other council members gasped. Protocol Omega was their last resort. A fleet of experimental ships built in secret, using every advanced technology they had developed. "Those ships aren't ready," someone protested. "They'll have to be," Laura replied. "We've proven we can beat the Xeraxians with their own technology. Now we show them what we can do with our own designs." In her lab on Mars, Dr. Wright received new orders. Her team would work around the clock to install their improved weapons on the Protocol Omega fleet. They had learned so much from studying Xeraxian technology, but now it was time to go beyond it. "John," she called to her partner, "bring up the quantum shield designs. If they're building a planet killer, we need to find a way to stop it." As she worked, Alice thought about how far humanity had come. A year ago, they were just trying to survive against an overwhelming enemy. Now they had taken back their first major colony, improved on alien technology, and were preparing to take the fight to the enemy. The Xeraxians had made a crucial mistake. They thought having advanced technology was enough to win a war. They never considered that humans would not just learn to use their technology, but make it better. In space, Commander Carter's fleet secured Proxima Centauri's defenses, ready to hold it against any counterattack. His crews were tired but proud. They had proven that humanity could do more than just survive. They could win. The war had reached its turning point. The next battles would decide everything. And now humanity had the weapons, the knowledge, and most importantly, the confidence to face them. The Xeraxians were about to learn why underestimating humans was the biggest mistake they had ever made. Hidden in the dark side of Jupiter's moon Europa, the Protocol Omega fleet waited. Admiral Laura Bennett stood on the bridge of her new flagship, watching as engineers made final adjustments to the ship's systems. These vessels were different from anything humanity had built before, a perfect blend of human innovation and improved Xeraxian technology. "All ships report ready, Admiral," said Officer Sam Miller, now her senior tactical officer. Dr. Wright's team finished the last weapon upgrades an hour ago. Laura nodded, studying the fleet on her display. 20 ships, each more powerful than anything they had used before. The vessels looked strange, with smooth black hulls that seemed to swallow light. Their shapes followed human designs, but their technology was far beyond what the Xeraxians could imagine. "Send the signal to begin Operation Shadow Strike," she ordered, "and patch me through to Major Clark's team." On a Xeraxian supply ship near their homeworld, Major Stephen Clark and his special operations team were already in position. They had spent 3 months infiltrating enemy supply lines, using captured ships and modified Xeraxian translation devices to pass as cargo traders. "Major, you have 12 hours. Laura's voice came through his hidden communicator. "Find out everything you can about their planetary defenses and the location of their planet killer weapon." "Understood, Admiral," Stephen whispered. He looked at his team members, all disguised as Xeraxian workers. They had learned to copy the aliens' stiff, formal movements and had studied their language patterns. It wasn't perfect, but it was good enough to fool most scanners. The supply ship landed at one of the massive space stations orbiting the Xeraxian homeworld. Stephen's team split up, each heading to different sections of the station. They looked like normal workers doing maintenance, but their special contact lenses were scanning and recording everything. "Sir," one of his team members reported through their secure channel, "I'm in the main computer core. Something strange here. The Xeraxians, they're scared. Not of us, of something else." Stephen moved carefully through the station's corridors, making his way to the computer core. He passed groups of Zaraxian officers who seemed too busy with their own worries to notice him. Their usual proud, aggressive behavior was missing. In the computer core, Stephen found what his team member had noticed. The Zaraxian databases were full of reports about something called the Nexus. The translations were difficult, but the meaning was clear. The Zaraxians were running from something. "Admiral," he reported back to Laura, "you need to see this. The Zaraxians didn't expand into our space just for conquest. They're looking for allies against some kind of machine race that's chasing them across the galaxy." On her flagship, Laura received Stephen's transmission with growing concern. The data his team was sending showed images of worlds destroyed not by Zaraxian weapons, but by something far worse. Entire planets stripped of resources by massive machine ships that turned everything they touched into more of themselves. "How long until these Nexus machines reach this part of space?" she asked. According to their calculations, Stephen replied, "Less than 5 years. That's why they built the planet killer weapon. They're desperate." Laura's mind raced with this new information. The Zaraxians weren't just conquerors. They were refugees with advanced technology, trying to build up strength before their real enemy arrived. Their attacks on human worlds weren't just about conquest. They were looking for races strong enough to help them fight. "Major, find that planet killer weapon," she ordered. "But also download everything you can about these Nexus machines. We might need to change our plans." The next few hours were tense as Stephen's team worked their way through the station. They found the planet killer's location, a massive ship hidden in the system's asteroid belt. But they also found something else. "Admiral, the weapon isn't finished," Stephen reported. "They can't power it properly. Their quantum technology isn't good enough. That's why they haven't used it yet." Laura looked at the technical data streaming in. Dr. Wright had already proven that humans understood quantum physics better than the Zaraxians. Their enemy had advanced technology, but didn't fully understand how it worked. They had been copying designs from ancient ruins they found, trying to match the power of the machines chasing them. "All ships, prepare for jump," Laura ordered. The Protocol Omega fleet powered up their engines. These ships could do something no other human or Zaraxian vessel could. They could track ships through hyperspace and follow their jump paths. The fleet appeared near the Zaraxian homeworld in a burst of light that looked different from normal jump points. Their new quantum drives, designed by Dr. Wright's team, didn't just copy Zaraxian technology. They improved it in ways the aliens never imagined. "Launch fighters," Laura commanded. "Target their orbital defenses first, and get me a channel to their high command." The human ships moved with perfect coordination, their improved weapons cutting through Zaraxian shields like they weren't there. But Laura didn't want to destroy them. Now that she knew the truth, this battle had a different purpose. On the main screen, a Zaraxian commander appeared. His silver-scaled face showed surprise at seeing a human speaking directly to him. "Your weapon won't work," Laura told him, "but we can help you build something better. We know about the Nexus now. You don't have to fight alone." The Zaraxian commander's eyes widened. For a moment, there was silence on both sides as human and alien ships faced each other around the Zaraxian homeworld. "How?" the commander finally asked. "How did you improve our weapons so quickly? We spent generations trying to understand them." "Because we didn't just copy," Laura replied. "We learned. We understood. And now we can help you do the same. But first, this war between us has to end." In the space station, Stephen and his team watched as Zaraxian ships began powering down their weapons. The aliens had seen what the human fleet could do, how their ships moved in ways that should be impossible, how their weapons worked better than the originals. "Send the signal to all human forces," Laura ordered. "The Zaraxians aren't our real enemy. They never were. And we have less than 5 years to prepare for the real threat." The battle that everyone expected to be a devastating final confrontation had become something else, the first step toward an alliance that neither side expected. Humanity had proven itself not just as warriors, but as equals who could help the Ziraxians face their greatest fear. The war wasn't over, but its purpose had changed. Now both races had a common enemy, and humans had something the Ziraxians desperately needed: the ability to understand and improve the technology that might save them all from the approaching machine apocalypse. Earth's skies filled with strange ships, human vessels flying alongside Ziraxian cruisers in a joint defense fleet. 6 months had passed since the truth about the Nexus came out, and both races worked together to prepare for the machine threat. In the Mars Research Facility, Dr. Alice Wright stood with her former enemy, Chief Scientist Zaxtel of the Ziraxian Science Council. They watched as human and alien engineers tested new weapons designed to fight the Nexus. "Your people learned so quickly," Zaxtel said, his silver scales reflecting the lab's lights. "We spent 300 years trying to understand the quantum core technology. You mastered it in 1 year." Alice smiled, remembering their first meetings after the peace treaty. The Ziraxians had been shocked to learn that humans had not just copied their technology, but had found ways to make it work better. "We think differently than your people," she explained. "You look for perfect solutions. We try things that might fail, learn from our mistakes, and keep improving." Their work was interrupted by an urgent message. Admiral Laura Bennett appeared on the main screen, her face serious. "The deep space sensors just picked up something. The Nexus found us early. They'll be here in 3 days." In the command center on Earth, Laura met with Commander Daniel Carter and the Ziraxian Fleet Commander, Kexri. The tactical display showed hundreds of machine ships approaching from multiple directions. "They're trying to surround us," Daniel said, studying the enemy movements, "just like they did to the Ziraxian outer colonies." Kexri nodded, his warrior pride mixed with fear. "The Nexus adapts to everything we do. Every tactic we use works only once. That's why we lost our first worlds. We couldn't change our strategies fast enough." Laura smiled. "Then it's good you have us as allies now. Humans are very good at changing plans." She turned to the tactical display. "Commander Carter, show them your idea." Daniel stepped forward. "The Nexus expects ships to fight in organized formations. That's how the Ziraxians fought, and that's what the machines learned to beat. But humans," he grinned, "we're much messier." The plan they created was unlike anything the Ziraxians had tried before. Instead of their usual perfect formations, the joint fleet would fight in small, independent groups. Each group would use different tactics, different weapons, and different strategies. "The machines won't be able to adapt because there won't be any pattern to learn," Laura explained. "Some ships will use Ziraxian weapons, others will use human technology, and some will use both." In space, the combined fleet prepared for battle. Human ships painted with Ziraxian colors flew beside alien vessels modified with human improvements. Dr. Wright and her team had worked day and night to give every ship new weapons that could hurt the machine race. "All ships, this is Admiral Bennett." Laura's voice reached every crew member, human and Ziraxian alike. "The Nexus thinks they can predict everything we do. They think they can adapt to any strategy. Let's show them why fighting humans and Ziraxians together was their biggest mistake." The machine fleet arrived exactly when the sensors predicted. Their ships looked like dark clouds of metal, changing shape as they moved. The first wave attacked just as the old Ziraxian records showed, trying to surround their targets. But this time, the defenders didn't follow any pattern. Human ships darted between Nexus vessels, firing weapons that switched between different quantum frequencies. Ziraxian cruisers used their powerful shields in new ways, creating traps that the machines flew right into. "Look at their response time," Daniel called from his command ship. "They're trying to analyze our tactics, but we're not giving them time to adapt." Every time the Nexus ships started to counter one strategy, the defenders would switch to something completely different. Human creativity combined with Ziraxian technology proved to be something the machines had never faced before. In her lab, Alice watched the battle data with Zaxtel. "Their ships are starting to malfunction," she said excitedly. "The quantum frequency shifts are corrupting their control systems. They can't adapt to something that never stays the same. The battle lasted for 2 days. The defenders took losses. 30 ships destroyed, hundreds of crew members lost. But the Nexus fleet, for the first time in its history, began to retreat. "They're actually running away," Kekshri said in amazement, watching from the Earth Command Center. "In all our records, the Nexus never retreated before." Laura nodded grimly. "Because they never faced an enemy they couldn't predict. Send the signal to all ships. Chase them out of our space. Don't let them regroup and adapt." The joint fleet pursued the machines to the edge of the solar system. As the last Nexus ships vanished into deep space, cheers erupted throughout Earth's command center. Humans and Zeraxians celebrated together, no longer enemies but partners in survival. In the weeks that followed, both races worked to strengthen their alliance. The Zeraxians shared star charts showing where other Nexus fleets might attack. Humans taught their new allies how to think creatively, how to experiment and improve instead of just copying old designs. "We won more than a battle," Laura told the Human Council and their Zeraxian guests. "We proved that different races working together are stronger than any one civilization alone. The Nexus will return. Machines don't give up. But next time, we'll be ready." Dr. Wright's team began building new research centers where human and Zeraxian scientists could work together. Commander Carter started training programs to teach mixed crews how to combine both races' fighting styles. "Your victory has changed everything," Zaxtel told Alice as they watched construction begin on a new joint defense station. "For centuries, we thought strength came from having the most advanced technology. You showed us that real power comes from understanding what you have and making it better." Alice looked at the stars, thinking about the future. The Nexus would return, probably with new strategies and weapons, but they would face something they had never encountered before. 2 civilizations that had learned to take the best from each other. "That's the real human victory," she said. "Not beating the Zeraxians, not driving away the Nexus. The victory is learning that we're stronger together than alone." In orbit, human and Zeraxian ships patrolled together, ready to defend their shared worlds. The war had ended in a way no one expected, not with the defeat of an enemy, but with the beginning of an alliance that would reshape the galaxy. The next time the machines came, they would face a united force that could adapt faster than any artificial intelligence. Human creativity and Zeraxian technology together created something new, a power that could stand against any threat, even one from beyond the stars. Victory had cost them ships, lives, and old prejudices, but it had given them something more valuable, a future where different races could work together, learn from each other, and face any challenge as one united force.